So now we're in the workbench, and this here is the alarm system, all the accessories and everything. I'm going to get ready to start wiring this thing up, prepping it up. So before I do so, let me just show you real super quick the tools that I use when I prepare my alarm systems, and I hope that you have the same or something similar. If you have any questions about what you see and you've never seen them before, if you have a question or concern, what it is, why you might want one, or if you're just looking at a place to get a good deal on one, I might even be able to help you with that. Who knows? This is what I have here as my drill. It doesn't have to be this one, of course, as long as it's a reversible cordless drill, because you're going to use this thing a lot. Okay. This here, something some people might have never seen. It's kind of like one of those odd tools, but to an automotive electrician, this is something he can never live without. These are technically called cotter pin extractors. We call them hook tools, and this is what I use to actually fish wires, grab them, pull them, and do what I got to do with my hands when I'm working, because it's so much easier than doing it with your poor hands. So a hook tool is a must-have for me. A wire stripper, a real wire stripper. Don't use those cheap, chinky ones. These are, you know, well worth their weight in gold. This here is an auto setting wire stripper, which I use when I'm, you know, working on separating ignition wires, door triggers, parking brake, any wire really in the vehicle. Because I usually strip back insulation, and I'll show you how I do my connections when I get into the car. But this is what I'm using. They're called auto setting wire strippers. Wire ties, I use the 8-inch type. I don't use the stringy, you know, cheap ones, because I don't like them to break down the road. Some 3M 1700 electrical tape is my favorite. I don't like the Super 88, more expensive as it may be. I like this stuff. 1700 is my kind of thing. Now I also have my my multimeter, and the reason why you don't always need a multimeter. A test light is usually, in the most case, what I use, but on this car, this one here has one wire resistor based door locks, so I went ahead and I grabbed a resistor pack, and I'm going to be utilizing these. I've also got some other accessories to make my life a little bit easier. Since I am using an Omega Excalibur alarm system, most of the accessories that I've chosen to use are made by Omega as well. This here will plug right into the door lock port, and this one here will help me make sense of doing some relay work really quick. It'll speed it up for me so I can do my one-wire door locks in this particular car. So I'm using that along with these resistors, which I'll show you how to measure out and do that later on. Over here, this one here is my Omega, again, AU93 two-window roll-up module. Now before I went ahead and got started, of course, everything comes with instructions, which are typically useless. I mean, I shouldn't say useless. I'm just not a big fan of instructions. But online, you can actually get the specific window schematic for that particular car that you're working on. So for my Monte Carlo, I know that this is pretty much a pretty standard reversal rest of ground window circuit, which is most cars. But it's nice to give you, you know, a drawn-out schematic, because sometimes, you know, you get the brain farts and you don't think a lot. It's a lot easier to refer to this. Not that I really anticipate on using it. However, it's good to have. As I showed you earlier, this here is my cheat sheet, my wire sheet, which I'll throw on the floor mat while I'm working, just in case I forget, or I just want to reference something really quick, what it is, the color, or whatever. I've already highlighted the trouble spots, things that I might find important to reference later on. This is my programming module for the blade, and look at all that extreme wiring I have to do for the pass lock 2. One connection. Almost like a waste of a piece of paper, but hey. Now, moving along, this here is the pin switch that they give you for the hood pin, so for the remote start disable, so when the hood is on and it's up, this here would ground. It's a grounding type pin switch, which would keep the remote start from activating while the hood is up, which I'm all for. However, I don't like mechanical pin switches, because these things after a while go boing, or they rust, or they corrode, or somebody's not paying attention and snaps it, and then what happens? The remote start doesn't work. Your customer gets a little infuriated because it's not working. It's just something you don't need. So for me, I opt out of that. I usually go for something like this, which is a mercury switch, which I mount, adjust, and these things never come back, never fail. They're always great, and they're just a joy to use. So mercury switch is going in this vehicle, as in pretty much every vehicle I've ever worked on for the last 15 years or more. This here is just my blade, which I've already taken out. My harness is ready to go. Of this harness, one wire. Out of all these wires, look at all these wires, I'm only utilizing one. But then again, I'm only doing pass lock bypass in this Monty. So that's that. let's move it along. Over here we got some more goodies. This guy right here, this is the dual zone shock sensor, which comes with the alarm system. 4 wires, power ground, pre-warn, and instant trigger. I'm going to be tying in my single zone radar sensor into this harness. So that way I'm going to have a dual zone shock sensor, so if somebody were to hit the car such as this, it's going to trigger, and I'm also going to have a motion sensor, so if someone walks near the vehicle, this is going to trigger, send an alert to the two-way remote control, flash the lights, honk the horn, and illuminate the interior dome light, and roll up the windows as well as lock the doors simultaneously with this little baby right here. And that there is an exclusive feature made by Omega for Omega. That's one of the reasons why I just love Omega. I mean, if you don't know by now, I mean, you'll never know. I love Omega. They're awesome. So that's that. All this other stuff, this wire stuff, we'll get to that in detail. The antenna, which on these systems are very nice. LEDs, dual LEDs, bi-colored, valley switch, program switch, all built into one. Nice, neat package. This siren right here, which of course we're going to have to extend significantly to get it through the firewall into the engine bay into the car's compartment, which we will do and prepare in advance. I'll also run a third wire with this for the tack wire, because I always run tack wires. I very seldomly ever go off of voltage sensing, unless it's just a real pain in the ass car or something like a diesel, something crazy like that. Over here, not that you need 859,000 diodes, but I'm going to be utilizing these for isolating my door triggers. Also, I'm going to be using that for my 2 sensors. I'm going to diode isolate those inputs. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's enough. So now we're going to start wiring this thing up. Let's do it.